What's up, Tiger fans? This is the Morgan Thomas Show. It's Thursday night. Looking forward to talking with you, Tiger fans, as we go through the happenings of the week. We've got a lot to talk about. And as I get the show started, as we get people in on the show and we start sharing everything out, before we do, just going to put everybody on the screen. And now, now my audio is coming through my mic here, but anyways, we will put on the Al. We'll put Al on, and we'll put Houston on. Alan, I can hear my own voice here.
Oh, that's got to be pleasant.
Yeah, it's definitely not pleasant. It's definitely not. I don't really know why.
Can't help you with that one, buddy. It's just a live show. No big deal.
Yeah. Well, let's get the commercials going, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Tiger fans, Greenville is a wonderful place to call home, and take it from me, a great place to grow your family. The housing market can be an extremely competitive and intimidating place if you don't have the right agent. That's why we recommend our friend and local agent Lana Smith with Live Upstate SC Real Estate. She is a native of Greenville and has been serving the needs of families in the upstate for over 20 years. You need an agent proficient in navigating the world of multiple offers who will put your needs first and guide you through the process. Let Lana help you achieve your real estate goals. Call her today at 864-608-8313. Again, that's 864-608-8313. And let's get moving. If you're looking for a great atmosphere and good food, you have to check out the Charleston Sports Pub. They're the premier sports bar location in South Carolina with locations in Clemson, Greenville, Goose Creek, James Island, Mount Pleasant, Summerville, and West Ashley. Watch all the games while you have fun playing all their games. Tiger fans, we dine there, legends dine there like Taj Boyd, and so should you. Go eat at the Charleston Sports Pub in Clemson every game day. 359 College Avenue, Clemson. Family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and everything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer or warm this winter, give Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. a call today. Give Mark or Jason Trammell a call at 864-224-7655. Again, 864-224-7655, and they'll take good care of you. Tiger fans, we don't just dress for success, we TS for success. That's Tiger Sports Shop. We shop there so much that they practically begged us to be sponsors for them. Not serious, but we do love shopping at Tiger Sports Shop in one of their two locations, 364 College Avenue and 1102 Tiger Boulevard in Clemson. If you're not in Clemson to check out the experience, stop by online at www.tigersports.com. Again, tigersports.com for all your game day needs. All right, fellas. Can you hear me? Big Al, Houston, can you hear me?
Yes.
I can.
All right, well, we're getting the show started here. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. Last time Bill told me the music in the background was a little bit too loud, but hopefully it's not as loud now. Guys, can you still hear me?
Yep, got the loud and clear.
All good. Well, we got a little under 2 minutes, as you can see, getting ready for the show. Get in the chat. Let us know what you want to talk about tonight. We got a lot of news on the recruiting front. I know Houston's looking forward to that. Big Al's looking forward to some baseball talk because he's got a brand new coach to talk about in Eric Bakich. And by the way, someone who is a familiar name if you've been around the baseball world and actually Clemson baseball world. So returning home. So I'm looking forward to talking about that. But I know what you want to talk about. Well, I don't know what you want to talk about. So get in the chat. Let me know. Hey, by the way, this is something that's really, Houston is really excited about. Down there at the bottom. Houston, do you see it down there? You see the ticker?
Yes. Call the number.
Down there at the bottom. Call into the show tonight, 989-704-MORG. 6674. Call in. You can get in. We have no callers in. The queue is wide open. Get in. We got 23 people watching live. I know you're not embarrassed to call in and be a part of the show. We haven't done this in probably 2 years. Al, I don't know the last time we've done a call-in show.
Been a while.
It's been quite some time. But we are getting it started and going to do something different. JP gets in, says recruiting has been a little bit slow on the trail. Yeah, I feel like, man, it's like watching paint dry out there. Don't you think, Houston?
Oh, yeah, totally. So slow.
Yawn, big yawner. By the way, shout out to JP who was interviewing was there at the press conference today for the head coach baseball team, and also got to interview and see Jack Leggett. I ran into Jack Leggett one time. We'll talk about that when we come on, as the show is starting now, fellas. It is starting now. All right, again, I'm your host and producer, Morgan Thomas. Joining me in the middle, maybe I should be in the middle since I'm the host and producer. Maybe
Probably.
not. But joining me in the middle is my longtime friend. I believe I continue to pay you to say that. And the checks are still coming in. I know that. I still see them being deposited on my end. So Al, thank you for being my best friend. Big Al, Alan Adams.
Man, I got to tell you, we should have had some like stained intro music for me today because it's certainly been a while. But it's great to be back. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, goodness gracious, Clemson recruiting is absolutely on fire. And funny enough, I know you talked about me and how I was excited about talking baseball. I'm excited to hear what Houston has to say about the baseball coach today in particular, because I didn't even get to hear the press conference that everybody's talking about. I got to hear like 3 minutes of it. All right. So Houston's going to have to enlighten us a little bit on the baseball. So I'm excited to hear what he has to say. And we got a ton of stuff to talk about.
No excuse, Al. It's called YouTube. It's called replay. It's what you do with our show. It's what you should do if you don't with our show. No excuse.
It's true. But you should have to have time to do that. That's the thing. So, and
Al,
one of us on this show has a day job. So,
by the way,
step up eventually.
By the way,
Oh,
speaking of the day job, okay,
Yes.
Al's froze here. Speaking of the day job, Al's back. Speaking of the day job, Al, you remember how I told you I was asking you about the Five Forks construction on that's going around Lowe's,
Yes.
and all that, the widening of the road. These guys, and you probably already know this if you've looked at the documents. The guys, they pave. I don't know if you can even call it paving. They pave the sidewalk over the entrance of Publix, so you couldn't even get into Publix because they put a sidewalk in the way. They had to go back and jackhammer it and fix it.
Oh, that's not good. Hey, that would not happen in Oconee County. I'll tell you that.
Oh man! All right. Well, we didn't introduce our third host, the smartest guy in the room, Mr. Houston Burnett. Welcome in.
Yeah, it's always been good. It's a good week. Pair the baseball coach hire with the scorched earth recruiting that's going on right now. It's exciting. It's been a while since something like this has happened, where there's just a lot of juice in the room right now, and so I'm excited, man. This is really good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We got a lot of people in the chat. We're going to talk baseball to start out, then we're going to go into recruiting. And we already got a caller in, guys. We already have a caller down, 989-704 Morg 6674. All right, at the top, let's go down the chat real quick. We've got Tiggs in says, "What's good, Morgan T?" We got Jordan Bowman says, "It's been a good 2 weeks. We took a week off. Took last week. It's okay, though. We got to have our rest." Jeff Browder over on Facebook says, "Clemson hit a home run, no pun intended." Houston, I know you like those puns there.
I do. Dad jokes.
Bill gets in, says, "Wow, got all three of y'all tonight. Welcome back, Alan and Houston." I know Bill is excited because he had to suffer through just myself. Should probably switch.
It's not just
back.
Bill.
What? Oh.
It's not just Bill.
Al,
Promise.
Come on. There's some people that like me. There's some people. The
I like
24
you.
people that are watching live, please hit the like button, at least for Al. At least for Al. Not for me, at least for Al. John gets in. "When the Bakich intro video kicked off, the contrast of Neff next to Bakich was crazy. Glad to have them, though, and glad to know Leggett was in the room for it." Well, Leggett's going to be a part of this program going forward, by the way. And also, yeah, Bakich was either Graham Neff is like Alan Adams tall or Bakich's like Morgan Thomas short. I don't know which one. It could be both.
Yeah. There.
Anthony Weeks gets in, says, "What's going on, Morgan, Al, Houston?" Bible Belt says, "Woo, what's up?" Tig says, "Any thoughts on Vic Burly?" Let's see. Al Coon says, "Love the new baseball coach." JP says, "It's been slow on the recruiting trail." Bible says, Randy from Pickens. Randy from Pickens. You should change your name to Randy from Pickens. Randy from Pickens, you got to get on a Mickey's show in the morning. Tomorrow morning, I'll be on. Scorched Earth Dabo is back. Scorched Earth Dabo. You got to love Scorched Earth. Vahid Ellis says, "From New York City." Hey, guys, from New York City. Love it, man. I'm glad you're with us. Hopefully everything's going good up there in New York. We got Kevron, Joey Thomas, many others, Sweezy, many others in there. But we've already got people jumping in on the calls, on the call line. Let's go ahead and bring them on if you guys don't mind. Before we get into our baseball talk, I don't want to make anybody wait. We got somebody already in from the 803Q number, and he wants to call in and talk about baseball. So let's all right, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Ed down here in Columbia, enemy territory.
Oh, man. Ed from Columbia, enemy territory. Ed, what you got to talk about today?
Yes, sir. After listening to Eric Bakich today, I'm excited. I'm very excited. When he said dominate the state and how he was going to go about recruiting, what he's going to look for in a pitching coach, I really, really think we got a great, great coach. And I do not think next year will be a failure. I think he'll come in and he'll win.
Houston, I know you mentioned some of those exact same things. So, Ed, you had the same thoughts that Houston did. So, what are your thoughts, Houston?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's right. I think if we're going off of press conferences alone, Bakich nailed it today. I know, it's hard to bomb in a press conference, but the way that it was done was almost a feeling of kind of reuniting a lot of things, making it feel a lot of feels with Jack Leggett in the room. I think the cat's out of the bag that Jack Leggett's going to be within the staff somehow in some capacity. It's not going to be an on-the-field coach from what everybody's gathering, but being able to bring him back, kind of tie up those relationships. He's very well-spoken. He's got a lot of similarities in approach to his program. Maybe a different flair, but similar approach to Dabo, where he's wanting to develop men and leaders first, and then everything else will take care of itself as far as the strategy and everything goes like that. But I also, the thing that I one last thing before we get back, the thing that I liked the most about what he said was the strategy. It's not a guerrilla ball. Let's get out there and swing for the fences every pitch and throw strikes every time. It's we're going to try to simplify everything to maximize every at bat. and we're going to simplify everything to command pitches. And that's what I want to hear. I don't care if we don't hit a bunch of home runs. If we maximize our at-bats and that means we choke up and, beat everybody by 1,000 paper cuts every game, I'm fine with that too. So I like what I've heard thus far from Eric Bakich.
Yeah, I mean, when he first got on, Al, you weren't able to see the entire press conference, but just to me, I don't know if he had that speech written for him, or like somebody at Clemson wrote it for him, or if he already had it and prepped it. To me, if he had it, he prepped it and basically came out with what he came out with. I'm jacked, man. I'm excited. He seemed to know a lot about the history of the program. By the way, he was there 20 years ago, and he was talking about walking down left field and seeing the stadium and remembering hitting players hitting home runs over trees that are no longer there anymore. So just that nostalgia that he brings back to the program. Oh, by the way, if you post anything about Monty Lee the past 6 months, what do you get? Well, we should have never got rid of Jack Leggett. Well, guess what? Jack Leggett's back, baby. He was at the conference. And by the way, during the conference said he would have a role going forward with the program. So Al, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. So, I mean, look, losing a legendary coach like Leggett, whether it needed to be done or not, I know there's a lot of debate amongst Tiger baseball fans about that, is always tough. I always had a bit of a soft spot for Leggett because myself, I actually job shadowed Jack Leggett in high school. When we were required to job shadow somebody, they asked, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "Well, I want to be a baseball player." And they said, "Well, will you settle for job shadowing a coach?" I was like, "Sure." And so I got to job shadow Leggett, and Kevin O'Sullivan was still there. Actually. I remember Kevin O'Sullivan pretty vividly. He was the talker. He kind of came up and took me under his wing for the job shadow. And Jack was trying to get me involved in the workouts. And I'm like, dude, look what they made me wear. They made me wear khakis and a plaid shirt. And you want me to get down and start doing crunches? Biggest mistake I've ever made. Not sitting there and doing that stuff with them.
Khakis.
Khakis. That's exactly what it was. I look just like Jake from State Farm, no doubt.
I can't believe that I didn't know this story. What kind of best friend am I? I didn't even know you were under the tutelage of 3 coaches that are legendary coaches in the Clemson world.
Yep.
Houston, did you know this?
No, I didn't know this. I mean, I didn't go to some prestigious high school in Anderson County like yourselves. So I was never afforded the opportunity to go shadow Jack Leggett,
Yep.
So good on you on that one.
Yeah, it was a cool experience, cool day for sure.
Well, it definitely seems like a lot of fans are really excited about Jack Leggett. Really excited. I mean, not Jack Leggett, but Eric Bakich and what he brings to the program and his excitement around the program. And Ed called in. I don't know if he was able to get all the audio, so apologize, Ed, if you weren't able to get the audio. Still working on it. But I appreciate you calling in and asking the first question, kind of tipping us off there to the start of the show. Again, Houston says we should make some T-shirts. Back it to the future. Maybe they'll be in the works. All right, so let's get in the chat here real quick. Ed Shumpert gets in, says, "How'd y'all get a 989 area code? Don't ask, don't tell, buddy. Don't ask, don't tell." Bible Belt Randy says, "Hey caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? Reminds me of an evening sports page on WRIX." All right. Yeah, we'll bring it back to that. Jordan Bowman says, "Olson Pat Henry, I'm more excited for. He's one of the most athletic tight ends I can remember Clemson signing." I watched some video on him 2 weeks ago when you guys weren't around, and we did a little film study review of him. And I really liked what I saw. He's one of those guys that could play really, when you have a pass catching tight end, when in high school, he's basically their outside wide receiver. And so he seems to be one of those guys that can do that. Are you guys also excited about Jordan Bowman? We'll start with Al. You excited?
About Olson Henry, I'm assuming.
Olson Pat Henry. I read the wrong name.
So here, I haven't watched film on either of our tight ends. As a matter of fact, I haven't watched film on a lot of our recruits except for the 4 we were supposed to be doing tonight or potentially later today. So I'll have to hold my judgment until I watch the film because I like to break it down. I don't like to take other people's work necessarily, but if
Al, you're breaking up on us, my friend.
Al, can you
Houston,
hear me?
Alan turned into a robot there. Houston, pick up where he left off on that.
I think what he's trying to say is he's probably excited. He just needs to review the film. I would say from what I've been able to watch between both Marcus Dixon and Olsen Pat Henry, they're similar builds, similar frames to me at least. That they're going to be a little bit more developmental. They're going to both need to bulk up some. So it may be one of those things where some get one of the other gets more playing time their freshman year, but they both need to add a little bit of weight. But both of them could end up being matchup nightmares. If you've got really good pass catching tight ends, that's a problem, man. And I think also Pat Henry could be something like that. And the same with Marcus Dixon. They're both really good.
Yeah, Pat Henry, 6'3", 215, 3-star guy, had a bunch of other offers out there, and actually, I don't even know. I think we, on last week's show or 2 weeks ago's show, we went with the guy from Warminster, Marcus Dixon. We talked about Marcus Dixon and watched his film, and I really enjoyed his from Warminster, Pennsylvania, right up above Philadelphia. So I really liked him. I think they're getting two pretty good tight ends to be able to try to utilize them more. That's what everybody says. Whenever I talk about Clemson recruiting tight ends in the neighborhood, it's always, but Morgan, are they ever going to use them? And I'm like,
fair question.
Well, good point. But they have no need. There's no reason not to, because think about this, guys. The guy that won the SEC conference freshman of the year, Brock Bowers, was rated lower than Brenningstool in his recruiting class. So Clemson has the number one tight end in his class in 2021, and that was Jake. So they just need to use him.
Well, I think you're going to see more Jake Brenningstool this year. I think some of that was he needed to get acclimated, and some of that was we didn't have an effective passing game. I think one way or another, he's going to get the ball a lot more, no matter who's throwing it to him this year. I think Brenningstool is going to be a very, very integral part of the offense this year.
Now, taking a step back, there was a question I wanted to talk about with baseball. I know we had some players transfer out. What was very weird is that they transferred out to the rival university. They went to South Carolina. They did the Tavian Feaster. First of all, I think that is ridiculous. But, guys, how do you feel about the guys that are on the roster now and the guys that left? Is the team still going to be pretty good intact going into next season? I know we got a long time, but it seems like that they've had their meetings. They've got the coach they wanted. It seems like a great hire. So I don't know how much more transfers will happen, but it seems like he's ready to hit the ground running, use the roster that he has now, and build upon that. And as Bill mentioned to us in chat, take advantage of and go after the players that are in South Carolina and work his way out. That was his method, right? Win the state as far as recruiting goes, work his way out. So Houston, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, as far as a roster wise, I think it's okay. I don't think they lost as far as like integral parts. I think losing Camden Troyer probably was the biggest one because of the upside of it. But everybody else, it was either limited action or in the case of Brewer and French, they started off really hot early on in their career, and they've just kind of not progressed. And wish them the best at South Carolina. I hope they're the best two players on their team, and don't hope they do really well against Clemson. That's about all you can say. You want them to do well. I hope they're really good, but I also hope their team goes over 56 next year. So, I hope the best team on our 56 team.
I want you to do well just for a team that wins no games.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever that.
Be all confidence on a team that wins 0 games next year. That's what I want.
JP gets in, says Neff is tall, LOL. So it must have been that Neff was extremely tall and, Bakich was average height, around like what I'm used to, with my 5'10", 10-ish, give or take on a good day. All right. So we got another question in here that I know is a burning question around, and it's about recruiting. And it's about, I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but I do want to hit on this because I think it's important to say Clemson losing Joseph was fairly significant. This is Jordan Bowman in the chat. He would have added the speed and explosiveness this wide receiver room was missing. Excited for Stellato and Williams, though. The thing is about the situation, and I mentioned this on the radio today when I called in for Mark, who was subbing in for Quack. From what I understand, he committed in last year in 2021. He's been the longest committed player. And you know how Clemson works when it comes to commitments. Al, Houston, back me up on this. Dabo, if you go to him and say, hey, I want to commit, the first thing he's going to tell you is, are you sure? Do you want to take officials somewhere else? Maybe you shouldn't commit yet. Maybe hold off and go visit other places. That seems to me the vibe. Like typically they try to talk you out of jumping in a decision unless you're absolutely ready. Now, then if you say you're absolutely ready, there's no way getting around it, then you take the commitment. But there was always that risk with Joseph because it was early on in the cycle and he had not really taken a bunch of visits to other places. And so it was kind of, just Clemson and Joseph for a long time. Now, here's where it starts, where if I'm Dabo, I can start to understand why Dabo would be irritated. And I'm not saying he was irritated, but if the situation comes up, Al, Houston, if I get a guy who commits early, says he's committed, doesn't want to go anywhere else, knows their policy, comes in on a visit for Elite Junior Day, and we wine and dine him with grape juice, by the way, underage, and then we give him the full experience is what I mean on Junior Day. And then he comes back in June, and not only does he get the full experience again, but guys, Dabo put together a 31 player experience with, it seems like hindsight 2020, about 15 of them were extremely interested or close to committing to Clemson or already committed. So this was a group of guys who were excited, energetic about being on campus. And he got to experience Junior Day, and he got to experience one of the best junior or June visit weekends that's out there. No, I don't know any other big school that had that many visitors at one time. And then you're telling me towards the end of the visit, according to what I'm hearing, towards the end of the visit, he says, hey, you know what? I want to go visit other places. To me, that's where I get a little bit frustrated. Now, I know it's a free country. Hey, I fought for this country. It's a free country. You can do whatever you want. But it gets me a little agitated when you eat off the plate multiple times and then you say, well, I want to visit other places. And then your places you want to visit, Louisville, okay, Papa John's, NIL, raking in all these guys from California out of nowhere. Come on. Miami, Lawyer Ruiz, we know what that's all about. Miami's been trying to get in his pocket, for months now, right? When Cristobal come on, that was his number one target, which I don't blame him if he goes to Miami. I don't blame him if he goes to Louisville. But it kind of seems like you post something on Twitter that says, my family didn't like how things happened. And it's like, well, I don't like how things seem to happen on my end when I'm looking at it from the outside looking in. Yeah. And then you get Brandon Ennis, 5-star wide receiver. By the way, another NIL guy who's probably going to go to Southern California because he's chasing NIL. He says he retweets Joseph's post and is like supporting him. So I get it. But to me, as a Clemson fan, now that's where I'm coming from. As a Clemson fan, it agitates me a little bit because it seems like he's backing out of a situation that he wanted to be in and chasing NIL at this point.
Yeah. Look, what irritates me about the whole situation, and this has happened multiple times. It's happened at Clemson a couple of times already. It's the fact that this narrative gets pushed by, I'm sure, family members, handlers, other schools, whoever it may be. They're all pushing this stuff on Clemson. Clemson's controlling you. They say you can't take visits, blah, 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 blah. It's all garbage. And that's what makes me so mad. If you're gonna talk bad about somebody, talk bad about somebody, like that's true. If we want to talk bad about South Carolina recruiting, South Carolina stinks. Oh, that's the truth. They stink. Again, they stunk for a while. Okay, so at least you're saying something that's true. All right. But they're making up these false narratives about Dabo and Clemson and how they're controlling. It's absolute nonsense. That, like you said, Dabo and company tell you not to commit. They tell you not to commit until you're 100% sure. They make sure they know the policy up front. And a lot of times what really gets to me is it's not even necessarily the kids. A lot of people want to excuse away decommitments and recommitments and all this stuff. All their 18-year-old kids. Well, a lot of times it's not even them. It's their handlers. It's people around them. It's voices that should be older and mature enough to handle these types of conversations. And somehow it just gets pushed into them that Clemson's controlling them when that couldn't be further from the case. And that's what's frustrating to me. I don't mind if you want to, rail on Clemson for something that they do badly or something you don't like. I'm okay with that. Just let it be true. And in this case, it's not, and it really frustrates me. So and I think that Joseph is a huge loss. We talked about this very briefly on Messenger the other day. He's an incredible athlete, quick twitch, the kind of guy that we need in the slot. Something I think Clemson has been missing. And I just don't think there's another guy in this class that's really comparable right now. Certainly not anybody that's on our radar as of yet. So it'll be interesting to see where Clemson goes from here. But yeah, it's certainly an irritating situation without a doubt.
Now, he posts that graphic that says there were some things that happened that we didn't like, which we don't know what that is. We can just assume that he just ended up not liking the policy, right? Which I assume, as with always, there's always been this policy. It's not like it's a new policy at all. But to the question, the actual question, Houston, I want you to answer that. Looking at the roster, really this year is not the roster that he's talking about because Joseph was not going to come in 2022. So looking at the roster for 2023, the slot guys that you have, in my opinion, and correct me if I miss anybody here, Spector is a redshirt sophomore right now. He'll be a redshirt junior. Will Taylor will be a junior in 2023. Stellato will be a redshirt sophomore, and then Antonio Williams, Cole Turner will either be somewhere in between freshman, redshirt freshman, sophomore. Well, they won't be a freshman, but they'll be either redshirt freshman or a sophomore, somewhere like that. So there'll be a lot of young players on the roster. It seems like the more experienced veteran guys will be your outside guys, and a lot of the younger guys on the roster will actually end up being your slot position guys. Is that how you're feeling with it, Houston? I know you're really big on Antonio Williams. So are you, I agree with Al, big loss.
Yeah. But I think we're also underselling Antonio Williams though, not maybe time will tell him this, that maybe Nathaniel Joseph is way better, quick twitch, and is a great slot guy that can do this. But I think Antonio Williams can do that job and more. We haven't seen him yet because he wasn't in the spring game. But I really think that he could end up being something similar to that, or at least something similar in an Amari or Artavis or a Ray Raymond Cloud type role where he's very good in space. If you get him in space, he can do stuff with the ball. And that's what we need. And I think that's what he can do. And I think, being able to have multiple guys like that is great, but I think we're underselling Antonio Williams. Maybe not somebody like Nathaniel Joseph being on a roster not having him stinks, but I saw someone on one of these message boards saying like if only Clemson signs Noble Johnson and Ronnie Hanifin or any other receiver, it's an abject failure. And I'm like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. The dumbest thing I've ever heard. Noble Johnson, one, he's hilarious. If you don't follow him on Twitter, he's trash talking every other fan base that's not Clemson, and I love that already because he's in. And on top of that, he's got another thing that some of the guys on the roster, I won't say that, but something I feel like we haven't had in a while is a wide receiver with just an edge to him, given the highlight where he just knocked somebody into the upside down in one of his highlights. So I like Noble Johnson. He's not a quick twitch or all that. He's a boundary guy, but he does his job well. And then Ronnie Hanifin, if he's not committed, but if he does commit down the road, I think he might not necessarily be like a slot guy per se, but he could be someone that you could put there as like I don't want to say Hunter Renfrow. He's bigger than Hunter Renfrow. He's the type of guy that you could say catch the ball on 3rd and 6, and then simply because he's so big, he can get 15 yards because he's bigger than most of the people that are at that position. So I like Ronnie Hanifin. I don't think it's an abject failure. I think it stinks, the situation, but I would much rather have highly talented guys that are sold and bought into the program than a guy that's kind of wavering and letting handlers make his choice for him. And, whether or not he's chasing an IL, fine. But if you're going to Louisville over Clemson, what are we doing here?
Well, I don't know what Louisville is doing, but they're not a successful team in the ACC. They've never beat Clemson, and they've not won the ACC championship game. They've never been to the playoffs. They only have one California player on their roster right now, on their current roster, one player, but all of a sudden they've got 4 or 5 California commits right now. I don't know. I don't know how that goes, but I know that Papa John's Pizza is buy one, get one free and on sale now. So go get you some. But again, hey, I can't knock you for going getting money. I'm not saying it's about getting money, but I'm speaking from one fan base. You know what I mean? So this is my opinion from being a Clemson fan. If it's about getting money, get money. If that's what you really care about. If it's about getting playing time, get playing time. If it's about playing close to home, then play close to home and make money. Really more power to you within the rules. Do it. But, there's also, don't say you didn't like something when, we want you to or Clemson wants you to just be committed. Just be committed when you're committed. Because as Jordan Bowman gets in on the chat, they hold that once you commit, they don't pursue that. That's a slot taken. They don't over pursue and then say, hey, by the way, we can't let you commit. Their offer is non-committable. Clemson's not going to do that. So once you commit, then they move on to other positions, or maybe their second person in line to wide receiver. If there's only one person in line, they move on to someone else. So, and maybe that's just a bad way of doing it. I know a lot of people knock Clemson for holding commitment to the actual word and definition, but I don't mind it. I would rather Dabo stick to what the word is, which is being committed to your word. And, but again, if it's more, it's really up to him. It's his freedom. He can do whatever he wants. Half of it is I'm just upset being a Clemson fan myself. And it is a big loss, as Alan said. So, wherever he goes, he said Clemson was still in the mix. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. It was probably just talk there, but yeah. All right. So let's get into some talk about, because we're past the 30-minute time limit here. We got some topical stuff. Al, I know I texted you and said what players we'd like to look at tonight. What were the players that I listed to you?
Jamal Anderson, Brandon Strozier, Vic Burly, and one other one, Avion Terrell.
All right, so this will be our film room. I know everybody loves our film room stuff, so we'll do this. And if you miss any of it, we'll put up the highlights on YouTube after the fact. So film room time, everybody. You ready for this? Let's start out from the top. We'll do Vic Burly. Was he on the list, Al? Did you say Vic Burly? I wasn't listening.
Yeah, he was on the list.
I didn't listen to anything you just said.
When do you ever listen to anything I say?
All right, so we got Vic Burly, just recently committed yesterday. Defensive line, 6'5", 276 from Warner Robins, Georgia, class of 2023. 24/7 Sports composite 4-star at a 98.16. By the way, Al, 98.16. You know what it takes to get a 5-star?
I don't.
You have to be a 98.25 or above. So Al, what is that?
Pushing it.
What is that? Like 9? 9? Is that like 9 away?
Sure.
Houston, 9 1,000ths away from Al. Is that 1,000ths? I don't know.
He'll get the fifth
I'm
star
losing
soon.
myself here.
I can't even see your screen. So
Okay, so he's 9 1,000ths away, and I'll plus it up here so you can see. Al, can you see it now?
Aha.
He's 9
Yes.
1,000ths away.
I think it's 9 10,000ths, but whatever.
9 10,000ths? 9 10,000ths away. I don't know. All right. So either way, he's not very far away. I should know this being a Formula One fan. This is how they do their their times. But Houston, he's the second best player in Georgia, fourth best defensive lineman according to 24/7, and then 40th best player nationally. I think the 5 stars go all the way to 36. So he's only 4 slots away from being there. Now he had offers, 18 offers. You've got here listed Clemson, Michigan State, Tennessee, Alabama, Arizona State. But let's go ahead and see some of his highlights here. Let's see. This is a game against Cartersville. Let's see if we can pull it up here. Let's turn it down. All right, so let's see what we can see here with Vic Burly, and he's the outside guy. I don't know if they're going to highlight him specifically on these plays, but I'll go to his sophomore film if they don't. Here we go. All right, he's highlighted here, playing the outside, but a little bit of the inside. He's so much bigger than his other high school teammates there. What I really like about him is from the film that I've seen, fellas, he commands double teams. You can see where the offensive line, a lot of times in high school, are smaller than him. So he overpowers them, and they have to go double team on him. But he's so strong with his lower body and his upper body that he just pushes guys off of him. So it doesn't take very long to shed blocks, even when it's in a double team. So he pops off the screen for me for that. Houston, I'll start with you. What's one thing that pops off the screen for you when you watch Vic Burly's film?
I mean, it's clear to see his versatility. And to be honest, I haven't seen a ton of film of him before. So this is the most extensive I've seen of Vic Burly. I thought he was a lot thicker than originally than what I thought. He looks more like a bigger DN. So I'm not going to compare him to Christian Wilkins because they're two totally different athletes with two totally different body types. But if you put some pounds on him and he puts on some good weight, I could totally see him if a situation were to arise like what happened, I think in 2015 or 16, where we were short some guys on the defensive end and we moved Christian Wilkins to the outside. Mm-hmm. I don't see any reason to skip out on the chance that he could play 2 positions, both end and tackle. He's very versatile. He's very fast. He commands double teams. He's very powerful. And look, they're playing Cartersville in this film. I don't think people realize that they're playing against a very, very, very good Georgia, 4 or 5A squad. That's where Trevor went. That's where Trevor Lawrence went, and he's dominating up front. So what I'm saying is I like his versatility, and I think this would be something that, if you're in a pinch, you can play him in multiple positions.
That's a good point there about him being versatile. Tiger Paw gets in and says Houston's trying to say Burly is big and burly. No pun intended there. Another pun. We got 2 puns tonight, Al. Al, when you watch his film, now here's his film from his sophomore year. This is the film that I watched, fellas. When you watch his film, I see somebody, as Houston mentioned, that pops off the screen as someone who is big and thick enough to play defensive interior, but also quick enough to play the outside. Al, do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I think he's going to be, unless it's an emergency situation, I think they're going to mold him to a DT at Clemson. I think that's, pretty well known, I believe. I mean, what sticks out to me in his film, I love the bull rush. He has an incredibly powerful bull rush. He hits these offensive linemen very violently, which I absolutely love. He gets those hands out there and really, just really knocks him back, which is great. I really wish he would learn to use his hands a little bit better with some more pass rush moves. And, that's easily teachable. Something he's got the violent hands for sure. I just think he needs to learn the swim move and that kind of stuff, to kind of shed the blocks. He'll be able to do that no problem when he gets to college. He'll have to add that 30, 40 pounds, and can he carry it? Can he carry it with the same explosion? Because he's got explosion right now. He's got great length, good motor, very quick for his size. Just really like this kid a lot. Morgan, I believe it was you that told me the other day, his legs are thick. And I'm like, yeah, that's why he's so powerful off the jump. And I think that's going to help him a lot at Clemson. And, he can certainly provide a little interior pass rush, especially when he learns to use those hands properly, get the right leverage on the inside. He's going to be a monster when we get him going.
So you're looking at Tyler Davis is 298. So is that what you're looking? You don't want him 300. You want him a little under 300?
No, I would prefer him to be a little over 300. Of course, I say that I prefer, all the defensive tackles to be 350, 6'7", and can move like Christian Wilkins. That's kind of what we're looking for. But yeah, I think 300 a little over, but he could be effective either way.
That would be more of a big Dex at that point, Big Al.
Yeah, dude, it's unbelievable. I mean, those guys being able to replicate the Dexter Lawrence and Christian Wilkins duo we had at defensive tackle. Whew, that's a tall task, my friend.
I mean, you're talking about the power move, Houston. When you're watching more of this film, that's what I see. That is maybe what he could improve on going into his senior season. Just adding some moves to his set there, because I mean, but again, it's like adding more skills to what you have with your hands. Maybe his hands work needs to get some improvement there. But then again, you're talking about a guy who you don't really want to beat him up, because he's almost a 5-star and he's really good at the bull rush. So I really don't want him to do something to overcomplicate his game. Just be who he is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you looking at some of the teams, like I can tell who some of these high school teams are from their logos. He's tearing up teams that are elite level high school teams like Valdosta, Northside, different ones like that. Like we said, Cartersville. He's not playing slouch competition. He's just picking up guys that are probably being considered for other D1 schools and moving them. He's making a lot. So, I mean, I think obviously there are some technique things that you can do that would greatly improve it. But what you need in a defensive tackle is the ability to just come off and overpower someone, be violent at the point of attack for a defensive tackle. And I think the basics of it, he's A1. Like John Chauncey says in the comments, he is the perfect replacement for Brian Brzee. I agree with that 10,000% for what we're looking at.
John on YouTube side of things says, yeah, but the real joke for a numbers guy is that some think there is any real difference between 9816 and 9825, especially evaluating human potential, which, yeah, I mean, and Al, I've talked about this a lot. A lot of times the only thing, especially in 2020, the only thing you really had was film, and that's very difficult to be able to evaluate anybody, because, a lot of these high school coaches, they know what to do. They're tweaking the film to make it look good, or they're only showing the good plays, or they're only showing certain plays against certain teams. So it's hard to evaluate there. Mm-hmm. Let's go on to the next player. But before we get into the next player, I want to remind everybody, we still have the phone lines open for another 8 minutes, I believe. So please get into the phone lines, 989-704-MORG. 6674. So get into the phone lines, call in. We'll put you on the line. We will talk to you and get your questions answered, or whatever you want to talk about. But while we're doing that, let's get into the next commit that we're wanted to discuss tonight. We'll just go down the list, fellas. Vic Burly was the first one up. We've already done a Christopher Vizina. We'll do Jamal Anderson next, the linebacker from Mill Creek in Houston, Georgia.
Oh, you know what? I almost said Houston. I'm sorry.
Houston?
Wrong part of Georgia.
The good thing is I used to work with somebody who lived in Houston, so that's how she said it. That's how I'm going to say it. Might not be right, but could be Houston. I don't know. Houston.
You're right. You're right. I was thinking of there's a town in Georgia spelled like my name, pronounced Houston, but I think it's a little further south of Atlanta than Houston.
Go ahead. Go back to the first part where you said I was right. Can you say that again?
You were correct.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Jamal Anderson, linebacker, 6'4", 202 pounds, committed to Clemson on June 13th. 4-star overall, 24/7 Sports composite, 11th best linebacker in the nation, 17th best player in Georgia, 172nd best player in the nation currently. Had 34 total offers between Clemson, Utah, Boston College, Coastal Carolina, to name a few. Father was Jamal Anderson, former running back that played at Utah, selected by the Atlanta Falcons, earned a Pro Bowl selection in '98, and appeared in the Super Bowl for the Falcons there. His sister is a member of the track team for Georgia, and he commits to Clemson and seems to be another one of those guys that is on Twitter really, really promoting the Tigers and wanting to get others to join him, which, obviously we love to see. Guys, what's your first thought about Jamal Anderson? Al, I'll start with you and his commit. He's not the only linebacker they're looking to take, but was he a good first linebacker to get off the board?
Yeah, I think so. I think, the other couple linebackers they were looking at with D. Creighton and Tony Rojas, I think that he could potentially have the highest upside of any of them. I really love his length at 6'4". You got to love that linebacker. He shows really good speed in the film that I was able to watch. He was really physical. I thought that was, it's something really important. Obviously, I think he's listed at 202 right there. He's going to need to add 20 pounds or so. But that's okay. That can be done. Clemson's very good at doing that. They bring some defensive ends in, and, they're 50 pounds heavier over the summer sometimes. So as long as he's able to carry that weight, just like, it's kind of a typical question. Can they add the weight that's necessary and still carry it with the same speed? Look at, he's a vicious hitter. Really likes to go after people. And one thing that really stood out to me on his film, he can cover the wheel route, which is something Clemson has had trouble with, especially, with some major tight ends of the world. He can cover the wheel route. He's looking for it. And I'm excited about his long-term potential. He might not be a guy that's ready-made to come in and play right away, but I think you're going to remember his name before it's all said and done.
I think Ben Boulware can cover the wheel route now that he is a professional physical fitness trainer, and he's shed some of the junk in the trunk. I don't know about James Skalski, but I think Ben Boulware could do it now. Maybe he couldn't do it when he was in college, but yes, and he looks like he's a nice outside linebacker, super quick and a hard hitter. Houston, first thoughts of Clemson landing him?
The first thoughts I think about when I see this film is, there's similar profiles with the other linebackers that Clemson's offered with this class. So one thing that I like is Wes Goodwin's profiles for linebackers. I think he's leaning more towards the Barrett Carters and the Trenton Simpsons of the world that are freak athletes that can do, a lot. They can cover, they can blitz. They're just freak athletes. You love the Ben Boulwares and the Skowskis, but like Al said, what's his name? Orndorff from Pittsburgh is still running down the field for a touchdown against Ben Boulware. These guys can cover, and I like his athletic profile. He's angry. He's quick. He's somebody that can do a lot of different things on the field. I honestly, the best part, this is a compliment, is he could play any of the three linebacker positions, but I'm debating would he be inside or outside. I think he would be perfect as a backup to like Barrett Carter. I think that's probably what they're looking to do. But this guy's great. I love his film, and I think he's going to bring a great edge to the defense for Clemson.
From what I'm seeing here, I don't see many issues with his outside linebacker ability. Again, like Al said, he is a little bit skinny looking on the film so far, but he still has to go through his senior year. So, but he definitely gets in the backfield quickly. And I love that they have, as you can see here, where he's playing in coverage, a lot of man-to-man coverage. He's able to keep his eyes in the backfield and pick up on different plays like a wide receiver or a running back screen. He's out in space a lot and making tackles in the open. And then again, when he has to set up on the edge and be an additional rusher to the quarterback, he can do that and get there quickly. And then when he needs to, he can get out and be in a zone or in man covering. Look there. He almost got an interception just kind of being in a zone coverage there against that play. So I really like what I see from him. Got a lot of tools there. Jordan Bowman gets in on the chat and says definitely seems to be a future at Sam. So, he could do that. That's kind of the Barrett Carter, Trenton Simpson level, the freak athlete kind of situation. To me, I don't know. I wonder, Al, I'll throw this question at you. Do you think that the criteria for middle linebacker is going to change at all? I mean, Wes Goodwin already kind of mentioned that he was going to he's going to, I would say constrict the audibles a little bit and not have, 4,800 audibles every single game.
Right.
And maybe make it more viable for a player who, maybe can't remember every single audible that's in Brent Venables' playbook, which would be somebody like me. Maybe it'll make those guys that are athletic that could play the position, be able to have opportunities at middle linebacker. Whereas before I felt like the criteria was so high, you had to basically be an Ivy League student to play middle linebacker for Clemson.
Yeah, I don't disagree with a lot of that, to be honest with you. I'll be anxious to see if he starts to recruit a little more athletic type, maybe a little less cerebral, more athletic. You kind of trade those off, see what happens. I'm okay with either approach. I mean, nobody's gonna complain or shouldn't about having a Skowski or a Boulware or somebody like that. No doubt about it. But there's certainly something to be said for athleticism. It makes up for a lot of things. It makes up for a lot of mistakes. Even if you don't necessarily call the right audible, you can probably get to the place you need to be in time. So I'm okay with either method. I think they both work well. Clemson's certainly done well with Brent Venables' system, and that's fine. But I'll be interested to see what Goodwin does.
His thing is not necessarily knocking people off their feet, knocking blockers backwards. It looks like to me, he's more of a guy that's going to go around and use his speed to get around the blockers. And, but he still has that ability to wreak havoc in the backfield. And you can see it here in his film. So definitely like what I see from Anderson. That's two guys now that we have taken a look at. Burly and Anderson, both looking good for Clemson in the commits there. By the way, Clemson was 8th overall and landed Anderson, got to 7th overall, lost Joseph, went to 8th overall, and then picked up Vic Burly, and now they're 6th overall. So again, like JP said earlier, the recruiting train is doing great. They're still rolling. They're still having a lot of success. And yes, they did lose a superstar on the offensive side. Now they've gained a superstar on the defensive side. And who knows, there could be another wide receiver superstar out there that is interested in Clemson. And now that there is an open spot, it could kind of maybe make some people think twice about coming to Clemson. Al, who was the next one? I'm guessing Avian Terrell would be
Avian Terrell or Brandon Strozier.
So let's do Terrell because we know his brother obviously very well, played for Clemson, and I haven't seen any film on him, so I'll be looking at this brand new with a new set of eyes. Kind of like Bill likes to make fun of me about how, we're doing our study session together here. So this is the film room study session. So Morgan can get his my studying in. All right, so Clemson committed to Clemson June 6th. Cornerback, 6 foot tall, 170 pounds from Atlanta, Georgia, Westlake, obviously same place that his brother went to. 4-star overall, 24/7 Sports composite, 30th best cornerback in the nation, 25th best player in Georgia, 22 total offers from Clemson, Auburn, Arizona State, Cincinnati, Colorado, and obviously committed to Clemson. Brother was a 2-year starter at corner for Clemson and was an all-ACC pick selected in the first round of the 2020 NFL draft by the Falcons. And I've said this plenty of times publicly. If you're a cornerback and you want to be an elite cornerback, why are you not letting Mike Reed be your coach? I mean, who else would you rather have? Houston, you know better about the college football coaching environment. Is there another coach out there that you would rather have if you're a cornerback than Mike Reed coaching you? Maybe Deion Sanders, I don't know, but
no. Yeah, I mean, Mike Reed, Think about how many people Mike Reed has put in the league, from Mackenzie Alexander, AJ Terrell, now Andrew Booth. I think with Avion Terrell, he's going to fall right in line with that. And you've seen similarities with those recruits as well, where you might wonder where they are their freshman year, and then all of a sudden their sophomore and junior year, they pop up and they become an All-American. They go to a household name in their second year to a first-round draft pick in their third year. I don't know if it'll be a first-round draft pick, but I think that when you look at his film, there is a lot of similarities in his game to his brother. I think he's a little bit more raw, but he's definitely got the athleticism to be a very, very good corner. He's really fast. He's got really good hands. He's got a game similar to his brother. So his upside, I think, is as much as his brother. I just think there's some things polishing-wise that he's just got to do to his game.
Al, when you look at his film, do you see some of his brother? Is there and what do you think about how he can contribute to the team?
Yeah, so I really like this film. So there's been a lot of questions about whether he would eventually end up a part of this class or not, and debate as to whether he, is the top corner on our board or not, or all that kind of stuff. All that off-season nonsense type talk. Well, when I looked at the film for the first time today, one of the first things that I look at is he's just a really smooth athlete. Which is something you really like to see. I felt that way about T. Higgins on the offensive side. Now it was impressive for T because T's like 6'5", and he was still a really smooth athlete. That's something I like to look for. He flips his hips really well, which is incredibly important for a corner. He says it's 6 foot in his profile, which means he's probably 5'11", I would imagine. But he seems to play bigger than he is. And one thing I liked about his film, and I say this about a lot of corners, if I really like their film, it's because they keep their eyes in the backfield. He keeps his eyes in the backfield, watching the quarterback, what he's going to do, where he's going to go with the ball, and he's still able to hang step for step with his man, which gives a lot of people trouble. A lot of times you focus on the quarterback, you'll lose your man in the process, and he sticks with them like glue. It's honestly half of his defensive highlights, he makes it look like he's the intended receiver. And it's fascinating to watch. I really like his film. He does a really good job engaging the receiver just beyond the line of scrimmage, and hey, there's something to be said for the bloodlines, right? So I'm really excited about this pickup.
Yeah, I'm still looking at the film here. Again, right when you said that, he got an interception, and it looked like, okay, yeah, obviously he seemed like he was the intended receiver on that one. If he wasn't, unfortunately for the quarterback there, that was a turnover. Excuse me. But yeah, I like what I see here. Obviously, I don't know if this is his junior film or not. It did say 5'11", and you're looking at somebody who you probably want to be around 200 pounds, so it's not too far off. He's not going to be here till 2023, so there's still time for that. He is versatile enough here to play in the special teams as well, which is something that you want to see. He does have a toughness about him. I saw him taking on blocks and trying to blow up things and get to the backfield. He also has, as Al, you mentioned, his footwork helps him get good recovery speed. When I'm looking at, sometimes he may not be in this best angle. Sometimes he may not be where he necessarily needs to be, or might be a yard or two off, but he's so quick at recovering back to where he needs to be to either bat the ball down, make a play on an interception. So he definitely has that quick feet about him that I really like, and being able, again, like you said, Al, to look in the backfield, see what's going on, just have that situational awareness, because you're playing that one side of the field. You don't always, if you get distracted with just what's in front of you, which is your wide receiver, then you could miss the play entirely. And you see there where he's going in strong to try to be a part of the run attack as well. So again, you want to see that. That's what kind of brings you into the 4-star realm. Al, what I've noticed with 5-star realm with cornerbacks is it's really like, it's not necessarily cornerback skills at that point. A lot of the 5-star guys that become the cornerbacks that become 5-star guys are the ones that, also play quarterback and running back and wide receiver. And they're like literally the most athletic person in that county. And so that brings them to be a 5-star, and not necessarily what makes him or what makes you a real 5-star. I guess it makes you a 5-star athlete, in my opinion. But a lot of these cornerbacks end up being 5 stars just because they're freak athletes. I'm not saying Terrell's not a freak athlete, but definitely looks to be more focused on being a cornerback. You don't see him playing quarterback or wide receiver or any of these other things, which is, again, not a bad thing. He's definitely a high 4-star. So I really like what I see from him. Obviously has the pedigree there. So the sky's the limit for him for sure. Houston, any last thoughts on Terrell before we get back into the chat?
No, I think he's just going to be someone, like I said, he may not show up as making a ton of plays in his first year, but I would not be surprised if by his second year he's a consistent contributor, if not a starter.
All right, fellas, it's 8:00, and this is normally when we hit the lights out button to get out of here and go to bed. We got about 20-something people watching online over on Facebook and YouTube. I didn't share it out with as many places tonight, so if you don't mind, if you could help us out, make sure you hit the like button. That's the thing that will help out the show that much more and get more Clemson fans in to be a part of the show. Hit the like button over on Facebook or YouTube. If you're really feeling froggy, go ahead and jump and hit the share button and share it with a friend. Send it to them in a text message and let them know, hey, there's this Clemson YouTube channel with a bunch of Clemson graduates and fans that are out there that are talking Clemson sports. And you can too get in as well. Also want to thank everybody that got in the chat and also our sponsors that help us with our equipment and, being able to bring the things of high quality, Al, high quality stuff. Production to you, even though I did have a little gaffe at the beginning. But again, and thank you, Ed, for getting in on the calls. But I appreciate everybody. So we went over baseball talk. We went over recruiting talk. We did some film review. Is there anything else that I need to discuss on the docket before we let everybody go?
I would say if you're interested in hearing my take on Paul Feinbaum's comments, you can read my story at rubbingtherock.com and also follow the other talented writers there. I thought I might shamelessly plug that since I do that on the side.
And Alan's not on Twitter, so you can't follow him there. But I am at the Morgan T Show. And if you're waking up early tomorrow, check out the Mickey Plyler Show from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. I will be the producer of the show. Probably won't be talking that much, Al. I know you're going to be disappointed. It is the Father's Day show. Father's Day show for Mickey. So he's got about 15,000 guests that are going to come on. So I won't be, I won't have my opportunity. I will be on the ones and twos, as they say. So I'll be in the background, which is probably where I belong anyways. But I appreciate everybody watching in this show and listening in and reading in over on Houston's articles and listening in on the radio as well. On behalf of myself, Mr. Houston Burnett, and Big Al, Alan Adams, we'll see you at the top of the hill.
Tiger fans, Greenville is a wonderful place to call home, and take it from me, a great place to grow your family. The housing market can be an extremely competitive and intimidating place if you don't have the right agent. That's why we recommend our friend and local agent Lana Smith with Live Upstate SC Real Estate. She is a native of Greenville and has been serving the needs of families in the upstate for over 20 years. You need an agent proficient in navigating the world of multiple offers who will put your needs first and guide you through the process. Let Lana help you achieve your real estate goals. Call her today at 864-608-8313. Again, that's 864-608-8313. And let's get moving. If you're looking for a great atmosphere and good food, you have to check out the Charleston Sports Pub. They're the premier sports bar location in South Carolina with locations in Clemson, Greenville, Goose Creek, James Island, Mount Pleasant, Summerville, and West Ashley. Watch all the games while you have fun playing all their games. Tiger fans, we dine there, legends dine there like Taj Boyd, and so should you. Go eat at the Charleston Sports Pub in Clemson every game day. 359 College Avenue, Clemson. family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and everything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer or warm this winter, give Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. a call today. Give Mark or Jason Trammell a call at 864-224-7655. Again, 864-224-7655, and they'll take good care of you. Tiger fans, we don't just dress for success, we TS for success. That's Tiger Sports Shop. We shop there so much that they practically begged us to be sponsors for them. Not serious, but we do love shopping at Tiger Sports Shop in one of their 2 locations, 364 College Avenue and 1102 Tiger Boulevard in Clemson. If you're not in Clemson to check out the experience, stop by online at www.tigersports.com. Again, tigersports.com for all your game day needs. Mr. Houston Burnett. We're still live, my friend. This is an after show.
Oh, bro? Okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
I put it in the chat. I said, hey, there's an after show.
Okay. Oh, okay. I can do that.
I tricked Alan. No, just wanted to say thank you so much, everybody, for getting in. Again, it's Father's Day, and I forgot to say this before the show was over. Again, this is the after show, just for a few minutes, Houston. But
okay.
Happy Father's Day to everybody that's out there. Coming up this weekend, Houston, you got anything big going on this Father's Day?
We're going to celebrate Father's Day on Saturday with my family. We normally have a big Father's Day get together on Sunday, but it coincides with generally my anniversary. We normally celebrate the week after our anniversary, but this year we didn't. Our anniversary was on a Saturday, so we actually get to go hang out with my family. So we good.
Nice. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I need to text my dad and ask him what he wants to do because I need to go see him, of course. But I don't really have any plans myself. Obviously, there's the race in Canada this weekend. So, by the way, Charles Leclerc had to replace his power unit, and now he's going to have a 10-place penalty.
Are you going to talk to Coach Bakich about that tomorrow?
No, obviously I'm going to talk to him about baseball. I don't know if I'm going to talk to him at all. It looks like, according to Twitter, he's going to be on the radio.
Yeah, 8:25 tomorrow. I found that out while I was waiting on you. Or didn't know you were going to be in there. Yeah. See if he's an F1 guy. Ask him about AEW. See if you can get away with that on the show tomorrow.
AEW, by the way, the Forbidden Door coming up. New Japan versus AEW. Houston, if you've ever paid for a pay-per-view, I'd recommend that one.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't paid for a pay-per-view, but if I was, it would probably be for UFC.
Oh, okay, gotcha. By the way, there was a question in the chat. How many 5-stars are currently out there? Houston, can you guess how many 5-stars are currently out there right now in this class?
I mean, depends on
somebody claimed that there were only 32 every single year, which is not true.
No, that's not true. It depends on the service. I know that Rivals is going to be very, very restrictive on theirs. I don't think there's many 5-stars at all on Rivals. 247 is going to be somewhere between like 30 and 40, and then I don't know enough about on 3. On 3 kind of is a mix of it. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And whoa, okay, you got it up. There's 37.
Yes, 37 5-stars on 24/7 Sports, with Vic Burly again being 40th in the nation, just actually 3 spots away from being up there in a 5-star realm. And I was wrong. I thought it was 9825. It looks like it's 9835 is the actual number. So I was off by Oh, let's not even get into the math anymore.
No.
Let's not even do that.
No.
But yeah, so Clemson still has a lot of opportunities out there, and there are a ton of 5-stars. I don't know how many. Let's see how many there were last year, because don't they still have another round of updates that come through?
They'll be updating this all the way through December. They do this. I don't know if they do it quarterly or if they do it every couple months, but I know that they'll have another update on star rankings after visits in the summer and then in the season. And I think they do it twice in season and then once before signing day and then once again before second signing day. And I think a third time after the second signing day. They do it a few times.
You're confusing me now. Okay, so last year, Jalen Sneed, go figure, Hilton Head Island guy there, 34. He was the 34th 5-star last year. So they only had 34. They have 37 this year. Going back to the 2023 class. Taking a look, let's jump ahead, Houston, and look at the Clemson 2024 offers real quick.
Yeah.
I'm seeing, a lot of them have visited Clemson. I haven't made a spreadsheet for it. A lot of people really enjoying that spreadsheet so far, which, just was done for me out of necessity of having to go to all these different sites. But so you got 22 offers already out.
Yeah, I mean, they've been killing it with offers, and I mean, they're not done, especially at that wide receiver position. I think Paylor is another one that hasn't been updated. They've got Alex Taylor, but there's another one, last name Paylor, that's not on there. I'd be surprised if they don't offer Mazio Bennett as well out of Greenville.
Which I did some film on him. Houston, he looks great.
Yeah, I think
he's not going to stay a 3-star. He's definitely going to be a 4-star.
And I feel like they'll offer him as well. I think, you know how their approach is with certain guys. They'll offer a few guys first and then come back to Bennett and then get in there. Naturally, anyone in state right now, South Carolina, is going to claim that they've got the lead for every single one of them, i.e. Cam Pringle and Josiah Thompson, off of their visits.
I feel like Cam Pringle, he's visited, at least from what I can understand, he seems like they'd be interested. So seems like, 6'7", 330 pounds. And we're talking about somebody 2 years from now.
Yeah. And I mean, Josiah Thompson ain't nothing to slouch at either. We know Dylan firsthand. Dylan puts out some athletes. And so, you could have a potential of him being able to play outside, or if he's going to be something that's more closer to 290 or just around 300, you might be able to slide him on the inside as well. He's only 6'6", so you can do something like that. I say, that's a joke. There's
Jonathan Paylor.
Jonathan Paylor, that's who the wide receiver is going to be.
And I did some video. We did video on DJ. I did video 2 weeks ago on DJ Lagway and Jaden Davis. Love both of those guys. They look good.
Yeah.
Sammy Brown. I haven't really watched any of the rest of the guys. Need to go through and watch some of their film. Maybe that's kind of what we do during the off season, during the summer, is keep going through recruiting videos, keep going through some of their highlights and see what they got going on. But yeah, exciting time right now for Clemson to see what they can do. Houston, we'll say goodbye twice tonight. So thank you again for joining in, and I guess have a happy Father's Day, everybody out there that's still on, and you too, Houston.
Peace. Happy Father's Day.